my brothers and sisters.
We're live.
Good morning. It's 6 a.m. on the 17th of February. Happy birthday, Julio.
Yay!
I should read this. I wrote a book called The Boy Who Ate the Sun. And I did a little card for him this morning. So maybe I'll get a chance to read it as we'll wait a little bit.
Go ahead.
More people on. Huh?
No, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Happy birthday, Julio. And it's Julio with the G. It's not Julio. It's Julio, Italian. Thank you to Luca and Pilar, father and mother. And thank you to all our mothers and fathers, grandmothers and grandfathers who have passed on the message of the gods from the dawn of time. When that tiny burst of sunlight hurled into the universe, infinite years away, traveling at 186,000 miles per second, that's where your journey began. And Julio, that's your journey. And all of us are on the same beautiful, amazing path together. Today is your first birthday, and you will have many more on this journey of love, kindness, generosity, faith, patience. Yes, you will also encounter pain, suffering, and failure, but those are part of the training grounds of this beautiful, amazing life that God has gifted all of us. Love, forgiveness, kindness, and generosity heal it all, but you will need to find all these things on your own. Your journey. You've gone from the birthplace, the womb, and now you're learning to crawl and walk, to stand and then run, to speak and read and write in all the technology of the modern world. But ultimately, we all go back to the basics. God is within each and every one of us, full of love and kindness and generosity. Every day say, thank you, God, Lord, created for this day, and the love deep within all of us. Love is deep within all of us every day, for God is love in every way. Happy birthday this day, and don't forget, steak over salad. Meat is the master meal because you're a lion. Thank you for this day. Always a celebration from GPK. Always love, Grandpa Kiltz.
Aww.
Yeah.
I hope Pilar saves that forever. And
well, I will, because it will be documented on this forever.
There you go.
All right. So good morning, everyone. Please let us know where you're watching from. And hashtag KMT for a chance to win
A t-shirt.
a t-shirt. If you have any comments, questions for Stefan, for Dr. Kiltz, for Julio, put them in the chat. And
we got to get the new Healing Humanity Kiltz health hats out there for everyone.
Great. Okay.
Yep, I'll work on Patrick.
Okay.
Are you going to North Carolina South Carolina on Saturday?
I will be there Saturday. I will be there.
Okay.
Nice.
Do you have access to a few of those hats?
I will talk to Patrick this morning. Yes. Okay. Yes, I'll bring some.
Bring some Dr. Nelson hats. They ran out.
Okay, I'll bring some too.
All right. So good morning, Stefan. And you said you were in Portugal, right?
So yes. Good morning, everyone. It seems like, looking at Kiltz at 6 a.m., having that energy, there's something really good going on with the food he's eating, I guess.
Yes.
Rare to raw fatty meat. The best for all of us.
That's the vibe.
So let us know, Stefan, about your story, about why we're here talking to you this morning.
Well, I can start with my story. I actually don't know why you guys are talking to me, but I feel honored to be here. I feel honored.
I don't know either. But you're right.
That's a good start. Have a straightforward conversation on that one. Yeah, well, I embarked on the carnivore journey almost 2 years ago, and I had no freaking clue where I'm going with that decision. Having to say that I have a professional sports background, and I ended my professional career when I was 26 because I focused on my business career. And what happened after doing my sports, I was an ice hockey player in Austria, in my home country. I started to gain weight, right? And I thought I was eating right, and weight gains I did because I exercise a lot. I did a lot of exercising to get the weight back down, didn't change my diet. So it was a bit of a roller coaster up and down. And with time and with the kids and the family also, like the little problems came as a bit of joint pain here, a bit of this, a bit of bad sleep and whatsoever. And I always thought that's connected to two things. One is it's connected to aging. And the other one is it's connected to the very high intense sports I did at the time where there was not so good medical services connected to that. So I thought it's like I carry a lot of problems around with me until I turned actually 47, being at my all-time high from a weight perspective, weighing 136 kg on 197 centimeters height. I don't know how much that is in pounds and foot, but I'm quite tall, but I was like, honestly, I considered myself being on the side of being obese at that time. Still doing sports, still running half marathon, still getting more and more joint pains because of the weight I was carrying around and the sports I did. However, then I wanted to help a person I truly love with some medical issues and started to dig deep on what, can I do for myself and what can I do for others. And I just stumbled across Dr. Jordan Peterson talking about how steak has helped him getting rid of health issues he had and his daughter had. And I basically went cold turkey overnight, full-fledged carnivore from one day to another. And I need to say, before that, a month earlier, I stopped drinking alcohol completely. I was never a heavy drinker, but I had like typical Austrian and European style. There was beer and wine with every meal at night, and I stopped that one, and then I went full blast carnivore. And what I considered being carnivore at that time, I have to say, was probably not the best carnivore that someone can imagine. It was still high in dairy. It was still a mix of all the different meats I could get, including processed meats. But I started to educate myself along the way, right? And I was always having a little coaching business on the side besides the job I'm doing. So I thought like, okay, now it's time to not be the fat guy any longer, telling others on what they need to improve. Is like you need to show off. Yeah, and this is how I came to the carnivore journey. So this is in a very rough way on how I got there. Then the last 2 years are probably the ones I remember the best of my entire life, because what came along with changing to carnivore in all aspects has changed everything for me. From a health perspective, I had no freaking clue how sick I was before I went carnivore. Honestly, I had not an idea on how sick I really was. So moved to carnivore, my mental well-being, I don't want to call it health, because I think I was quite stable with having good intent and good mindset. But honestly, things have changed business-wise, how I think, how I structure things. Health, I said. Sports, I'm doing just recreational sports, right? I'm doing only bodyweight training, boxing, and that has changed massively. I was the old guy from sports. I thought like you need to load on carbs before every session or the night before a session, and then just you can run until your tank of carbs is empty, and then that's it. Since carnivore, I figured out there's like an endless source of energy inside my body that provides me actually with everything I need along the sports session. So good things everywhere. I changed my job in the meanwhile. I focus a lot on this. And then I decided to get very vocal before I hand it back to you guys. I started to get very vocal about the topic of changing nutrition in general and moving away from carbs, trying to move to a carnivore or animal-based diet. I'm still the most advocate for going full-fledged carnivore, and what I consider carnivore or lion is like you go for ruminant meat and salt and water, and I include eggs there as well. This is what I mostly do, and also try to avoid pork and chicken. But you need to start with people on where they're coming from, and I think I'm quite open on that one. But this is very rough, my story, and I feel happy to be here with you guys. I have been on a couple of podcasts recently, and I'm just sharing my journey. It's not that I have any big background on that one, because what happens to you if you go that way is something people cannot imagine unless they have really tried it, and have really tried it for at least 60 to 90 days. That's my call to everyone.
That's awesome.
Thank you. You were what kind of sport did you say?
I played ice hockey. I played ice hockey until I was 26 on highest Austrian league, which is, compared to US and Canada, it's not the same thing, but I was quite successful in my country. And then I kept playing until I was 30 plus in second league and third league, and really always enjoyed it. But I stopped that one. So I'm on other sports now. You need to close certain chapters in life as well.
And how young are you now? How young are you, Stefan?
That's the hardest part to share. I turned 50 this Saturday, so it's the last days of being 40 now for me. For the last couple of days, I'm going back home to Austria to see my family and my grandkids actually this weekend, and then we're going to celebrate hard with a big and fat steak.
I will be 70 March 12th. I never felt better. I'm getting younger every day. I look forward to claiming 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. You know, I always say claim it, because what we're doing is we're showing off the vibrancy of our health and wellness on the proper human diet. Simple, right?
I keep telling people now that I'm just closing the first period of my life now. It's like a hockey game, right? So I think I won the last bit of the first period, which is the first 50 years, and now I'm going to own that game for the next 100 years. So let's see where that leads me to. But
well, the beauty of what we're doing today, you know, think about it. When you were growing up, or I was growing up, or anybody, we didn't have access to publishing our content in any way to share with the world. Now we have access to publish with the world, and you know, depending on how this gets saved or where or what, you know, device, it's sharing your message that previously you had to be accepted, you know, whether or not they'll accept your writings or publication or, you know, X, Y, or Z, or whether or not you be accepted to a university, right?
Yeah, I mean,
no longer matters.
I think this is such a strong point you just make. It's two things. I think the access we get nowadays, comparing back to my youth, like in the 80s, where you had to go to a library and you need to find a book. You had no one to tell you what book to read. If you wanted to educate yourself, you either went to a university and you got indoctrinated to a certain degree, or you were really smart and had a lot of time and you could figure out things. There's two things today is you have a lot of access now to data that has been developed over the last century already, so you can read in yourself. And I think this is what the least people do, because they just still follow without having a clear picture on what's available now. You can use large language models, you can use whatever you want, right? You need to be careful on what you read, but there's a wide access to data that hasn't been there like 20, 30 years ago. Secondly, is we have a community in the society now where you can share, reaching a completely different audience than it was possible like in the 80s. I mean, if I would have been an adult in the 80s, I would probably have been able to share within my given circle, right? Which is a few people. Whilst now with social media, you get a completely different way of sharing things. The sad thing is that even though there is access and there is a lot of opportunities to share the success stories, people use or misuse that in a way that they still consume more to dopamine hits rather than educating themselves, or they share what they haven't researched themselves. Is like if you get all these carbo addicts now on all those influencers and fitness trainers you see that still are loading in sugar and stuff and tell people to do so. There's enough evidence to show that this has been proved to be wrong, and still it's out there. So you also need to be careful from what you consume, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that space. I like to be there and be the pain in the back, also telling people when they are wrong. And then my German side comes in, where I can be very, very confronting on people and tell them straight to the face, is like, the shit you eat will make you shit sick.
Well, in all ways, we're all on our own journey, but now we have common people becoming uncommon influencers of healing that the government, the scientists are hiding from us.
Yeah.
And it's all part of the story, by the way. And it's, again, I'm 70 in March. I've never felt better. Been carnivore since 55, essentially. I was keto, paleo, Atkins, but Weight Watchers, and I was a crazy exerciser. And is exercise natural, normal, or good for us? Or is really getting up, going to work, and community building the most important thing?
Well, there is this misconception of exercise as well. I try to tell the people I work with, it's about movement. It's about getting your body moving. I have a sports background, and I need a lot of exercise because my body is used to that. I wouldn't recommend everyone doing the same thing that I do, like 7 days a week, going crazy on the kettlebells and body weight. And I can just tell you, I found myself again at the end of my 40s now. And I read this comment just now from Carney Swan in the chat that says, I turned 50 and I felt 80 when I was 40. I had the same. And I just accepted my fate, to be honest. I was like, okay, it's like you're mid-40. You're not sleeping well, you're joint pain, and you can't exercise as hard as you had been exercising before. For me, exercise is part of movement. I think we need to move as human beings. We need to move properly to what we're designed for, which is as important, I think, as the nutrition is. None will work without the other. So if you move a lot and you're eating the wrong food, you might feel bad. And if you're eating the right food and you don't move a lot, you will still feel better, but you're not getting the best out of yourself.
Well, it's interesting. Last night on Kiltz Mighty Tribe, or Monday evening, live on Zoom, Deanna, we were having a great conversation. And I was thinking about it because we're going into memory care homes or institutions, and we're exercising people. And then we're putting them back to bed, and we're feeding them a plant-centric diet, 3 meals a day, plus an IV full of glucose. Mm-hmm. And in fact, our problem is we retire and then become institutionalized and boxed. And then we're exercised rather than being part of community. Oh, you're too old now. You should retire and go sit and let the young people do what they're doing.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Why not do it until the day you're dead?
Right.
Well, as you know, people accept their fate. I think I had been on that same journey, Kiltz. It was like, okay, it's like you get older, the younger ones have more energy. Bullshit. You get the most out of yourself if you get your nutrition in check. And I found that out the hard way. Honestly, I'm down to 95 kg now. I did like a quite strong regime since January 1st because I want to, when turning 50 this weekend, I want to be at a body constitution I haven't been since my childhood, to be honest. That was my own decision. And I lost like 7 kg of fat the last 8 weeks. Just eating ruminant meat every day, exactly the same thing. It's 750 grams of ground beef, high fatty ground beef, 70-30, right? 30% fat, 6 eggs, every day the same, OMAD, since 8 weeks. I'm shredded as I have never been before. Like really like never. I'm in my 50s now. There's a lot of excess skin that comes with the age, and if you have been fat for a while, but I'm not doing this for looking good. I'm doing this for myself. I look now in the mirror, and boy, I'm saying this always is like, if I would have had that knowledge in my active sports career, I would have outperformed myself to a degree which is insane. I did not have. I had a lot of injuries. I wasn't always on my best when there were game nights. For sure, not training hard enough, or training hard enough, but not getting the best out of me, because I was loading on these carbs like 2 hours before the game, right? And drinking sugary Gatorade through the game. And you like, there is something in life. If I would have known that earlier, things would be better. Do I look back with regret? No, I don't. It's like, now I'm looking forward. I try to share my journey here, and yeah, it's just a pleasure being here, to be honest, being myself.
Well, and I was doing some readings this morning, and ultimately, all human beings are gods. All human beings are the same, and our outer trappings are of no higher or lower power of who we are, and we are eating essentially. We're in the wrong environment for how we evolved. We're no longer hunting and working and building and creating. We're like hoping for a bunch of money in the bank to sit back and drink alcohol, smoke marijuana, and go partying in Vegas.
Yeah, well, that was just a comment here, which I connect to what you just said, Kiltz. Is there's this mental health thing, and how you treat yourself, and everyone is the same, right? People talk so much about the mental well-being nowadays, and it's genetic, and their obesity is genetic, and whatever. I think you're spot on saying we all have the same preset, and it's just about what we are going to do with that. Then there's this quote that, okay, it starts with mental health. Does it start with mental health? For me, the starting point is pretty unclear, because you could start with nutrition, get better mental health. You're not getting mental health by deciding you get better mental health, right? So I think it starts somewhere else. It's sleep, it's nutrition, it's movement, and that will just elevate your mental well-being to a completely different level. But you're right. I think we're all the same, and it's just what you do with your bank account. And should we be happy with the money on the bank account? Honestly, I decided I'm not a rich person. I have 3 kids. I have 2 grandsons. I want to cater for them. This is the only thing I can afford, is my body, my health, and being there for my family as long as I can. Whatever is on the bank account, it's a side gig towards my health. And this is how we're going to take that.
It's our environment that we've been born into that is highly pathologic. And so you're right. I found that I can work on the mind, and it got better. I can really focus on the methodology of medication, prayer, and slowing down. But when I went carnivore, the poison drained, the brain came to life again, and it was suddenly, I'm alive, and I'm no longer in a cage. I'm now free, because we're essentially caged because of plants and protein in a low-fat diet and 3 to 6 meals a day, and being told that God is out there and not in here.
This is so nicely said, because I think people have to try to understand that. Honestly, just to give you a perspective on myself on that one, was that I had no clue how much I hated myself, to be honest, and how much I was towards myself before I got carnivore, and how much I'm at peace with myself since the last 2 years. Like, absolutely at peace with myself. How I look, how I feel, how I wake up in the mornings. There's good days and there's bad days, as there are for everyone. However, it was only diet related. And now I started to educate myself a lot about oxalates and lectins. And I could keep talking about this for ages. I had a period where I was vegan. I mean, just imagine that stupidity. I was vegan for a quiet period because I thought that's going to be the scapegoat for me and getting out of where I was. It just has turned me becoming a complete monster to myself and to my environment, because I started up to load on these smoothies in the morning and eat the green stuff and everything. And I just felt worse and worse and worse along the way. And I, for the first time in my life, feel like I'm just happy who I am, and I can deal with so much more stress, and can't wait till it's lunchtime and I have my 750 ground beef again with 6 eggs. It's that lovely. It's just one meal a day. It's food. Food is not controlling my system any longer. I'm myself. I'm the person that takes ownership, right?
And is it complicated, the food that you put in the body in order to master the life you live?
No, for me, it has become a conscious choice. It's like, for me, it's not complicated. It became super complicated for my environment, but I decided at one point, I mean, I couldn't care less about that, because people are used in today's society that on Friday night, you need to go out for dinner and get shit-faced, right? To forget the hardworking week and whatever it is. And now for me, it's like, I'm super strict. I'm probably sometimes too strict and disciplined, because I'm more like, why would I go out with you? Even if I get a steak, it's not the quality I want. I don't know how they fry the steak. And then they always have a debate with me. Is it made in butter or not? Or do you use tallow? And then you talk to a lot of people that have decided to not educate themselves, right? They're not dumb. They just decided to not educate themselves on that topic. And it just becomes a problem for everyone around. So for me, it's like, it's super easy. I eat at lunchtime, full stop. I prepare my food. I'm at peace with myself. I like to eat alone, because this is like meditation, finding God. This is where I am, right? And then we go on with the rest of the day.
It's Occam's razor, simplicity. Scientism has kind of put a wrench in the workings of the motor, right? And is glucose your energy for the mitochondria, or is fat?
No, it's fat. Look, it's. I mean, you look up the evidence. It's like our system can run on glucose, but the preset is on fat. We have just learned by being indoctrinated that we run on glucose. And this is what everyone thinks. Look, I work in an environment. I have a good job as well. I lead large teams. I work in transformation. I'm going to the office. I see all this younger generation now snacking all day long. So they eat a snack, they handle 60 to 90 minutes, then they snack up again. That goes all working day long. Then they go for lunch. They load up on a big chickpea, whatever, vegan dish, because they want to save the planet. And then they keep snacking all afternoon on sugar, and they're on this roller coaster. And then they ask me, I mean, so what do you eat? You can only eat once a day. I said, yeah, but also every 6 to 8 weeks, I fast for 120 hours. Do you get hungry? No, I don't. It's like a free. So I think when you are in this addictive behavior, which is pure addiction, in my terms, I'm not a doctor. To get out of this, you need to really work on yourself. You really need to work to get out of. You need to kill that microbiome in your gut that's telling you constantly to eat. And then people need to understand that, sugar, which are carbs, essentially everything that turns into blood glucose, in my terms, is the worst you can do to your body. You need to learn to run on fat, because your body is meant to run on fat. And that people don't understand in the first way.
So what to get us all to see the story in simplicity, because complicated science about all of the MTHFRs or your LDL or cholesterol or your PA1432110, your DNA. Let's do a DNA test and see what your unique biomarkers are. Is that kind of complicated?
No, it's
Is it
not.
true?
Kids, look, for me, it's very simple. What I experience a lot in my environment, might it be in job, might it be in the family, might it be with friends, is stepping out of the comfort zone, facing yourself in the mirror and facing your nutrition is something the least people are prepared to do. Then at one point in their life feel miserable, and then they start going into, I need to change something. Then they fall into the trap of one of these 30 days, 28 days bullshit thing, do this, do that. They see a result, they go back to where they have been before, and bam, it's even worse than it has been before. So I think the hardest part is to educate people, finding a way to, it's a transformation you need to do. It's not just a crash course you do. You need to transform your thinking. You need to transform your nutrition. You need to transform your behavior. And if you're not prepared to do so, stay where you are, but don't give me nutritional advice, which most of them tend to do with a donut in their hand or a burger in their hand, right? It's like, oh, you're going to die on a heart attack. Yes, I will probably die, but certainly not on a heart attack if I'm not too stupid.
But I always say none of us know how or when we're going to die. Just let it go. I mean, we make too much. Like, again, we're born to die in order to become the fertilizer and food for the next organism. Our children's children will require us to die, and so don't be afraid. And we don't really know the right diet that means you're going to live longer than another.
But here's an interesting thing. Here's a super interesting thing. So even if I die tomorrow because of the diet I've done for the last 2 years, which is not going to happen, just to have that said as well, I felt the best ever the last 2 years. So what sense does it make to live another 15 years in an environment where I feel miserable every day I wake up? So what I'm doing now, I wouldn't tell people you're getting 80 or you're getting 90. I might die tomorrow on a motorbike crash. I might fall off, whatever. However, the way I feel right now, I've never had that feeling since I can remember being a kid. And even then, probably it was different. So better living a life like this, being fully satisfied with myself and the environment I'm living in and how I feel about myself, rather than being miserable for another 15 years, just swallowing whatever kind of pill and feeling I'm doing good to my life. So it's a personal decision as well, I think. But you're right. How long will we live? Honestly, I'm not thinking about that. I'm not thinking about death. That's not up to me to decide.
Yeah, it's ultimately we don't know, but certainly the way we feel on this is radical. Right, and we're connecting with people around the globe in ways that we just couldn't do before, and this is the magic and the mystery.
And this is interesting because so I started over social media to share how I feel, because I just felt like, okay, so if people around me aren't that interested, I might find some people on social media that are interested to see, what I'm doing and how I feel. And I started, and then you start connecting to people that are like-minded. Some are more on the ketogenic pathway. Some are like the strictest raw ruminant meat carnivores that you think. But what's happening is you start getting an environment where you start sharing a bit on what's happening. And I like that with nowadays being on social media, that you get access, as you say, to the full globe. I've lived in different countries. I've lived in the north of Europe. I'm living in the south of Europe. I lived in Japan for 5 years. I through my sports, have a good connection to people all over the world. But now it's more really showing to people that want to hear it and people that have a feeling to look after themselves. Then you get a lot of haters as well on social media. But for me, that's also very nice, because I mean, they all come with these arguments. Oh, you're getting high cholesterol and you're going to die. It's like, yeah, prove it. And then we can prove them wrong. And then it just gets aggression. And one thing with carnivore that happened to me, I always had a very short leash in hockey as well, as like if I get into something, I'm into that, right? I am so much more at peace since I'm carnivore. Is like people can't trigger me that quickly. Those that know me very well, like very close people and friends that know on hitting the right buttons, and want to trigger me, they still find a way to do so, but on a completely different way. I mean, nowadays on the street, if people start to trigger me, I just think like, well, I'm thinking on a different level as you do at the moment, probably. So deal with your anger and deal with your thing. So I got so much more relaxed with everything and being at peace with everything, being able to lie on the beach for hours, which I have not been doing for the last 3 decades, because I was always, I got to do something. And, there's peace coming. There's a lot of peace coming with diet.
We have a couple questions. Let's see. Do muscle building improve fasting? Does muscle building improve fasting?
I cannot scientifically prove something, but I can prove something for myself. Is I can eat and I'm not the calorie type, just want to have it said, I can eat in a so-called deficit if I do the calculations, lose fat and build muscle at the same time with the diet I'm on. I've proven that to myself. I'm way more muscles than I had a year ago or 2 years ago. Kiltz,
so how did that happen?
How did that happen? I guess you don't want to have a scientifically answer to that one. I can tell you what happened.
The answer is simple.
It's the
adipose tissue is the building block because it contains all the minerals, vitamins, amino acids, simple sugars, and fats. Adipose tissue is the most important tissue of the human body. It's the thing that grows and shrinks depending on the environment. We're just in a hyperphagic, get ready for famine, migration, hibernation, gestation. But basically, your building blocks and repair comes from adipose tissue. Simple.
I mean, I give an example because when you posted the picture with me yesterday and having the block of butter between you and me, this is so much my life. Is also the amount of fat I eat whilst trying to build up muscle seems to be insane to the outer world of me, and I love to eat butter. But I can just say it's like, as you say, it's the adipose tissue or the fat tissue that we have. Mine has been shrinking, and what came along with that is like my hormonal balance is a completely different one than 2 years ago, because I think my hormones were pretty much screwed up the more body fat I had. Now I'm super lean. I just, without going into details, I feel so much younger than I ever did. It's crazy, and the power I have on workout is just a massive difference. I give you an example. I changed job last summer in 2024, so I had a month off in between, and I love to box and do some boxing, and I went to Thailand to one of these Muay Thai and Western boxing camps for 2 weeks, staying strict carnivore there. So I know the camp owner, I talked to her, she's Italian. I said, like, look, can you provide carnivore food for me? Will be mostly chicken. I said, I'm fine with that. I normally don't eat chicken a lot, but however, for a period of time, so I was eating only chicken, mostly a bit of beef here and then a bit of fish. Was training 6-7 hours a day. I was shredded afterwards, not as shredded as I'm now, but I didn't lose any muscle, and I had energy, like unlimited energy. And that is teaching me something. I'm still experimenting a lot with myself at the moment, also the last 8 weeks, where was eating only, then I tried to eat a bit of pork, see my reaction on the body. So people don't do that enough. They trust too much on what's happening around them. It's like you can gain muscle on a strict carnivore diet. I'm a big promoter of that one.
Go ahead, Alia.
Next question. Stefan, do you fast? And if so, what kind of fast do you use?
Yeah, so now I eat OMAD, which many people call intermittent fasting. I eat predominantly once a day. I do fasting every 6 to 8 weeks. I try to get a range between 4 and 5 days, however I feel. I do this more to go into deep autophagy and to have some cleansing of my body. It's a pure water fast. The only electrolytes I take is a special salt I order from Germany. And that's everything I do, basically. So I go hardcore into fasting. And then when I start refeeding, mostly after 120 hours, between 96 and 120 hours, I start with bone broth, normally for the first evening, which I do myself. So I go to the butcher, I buy a large bone, the upper leg bone of a cow, get it cut in pieces, cook it normally with 1.5 to 2 kg of brisket in a pot for 9 to 12 hours. And that's my first meal, sipped very slowly. And then I build up again my eating behaviors. And that's always the time where I feel the biggest detoxification, to be honest. And I still, after 2 years, and then probably Kiltz can give me an answer on that one as being a doctor, I still feel this oxalate dumps that are happening then, specifically after the fast, specifically on my eyes, getting some skin issues that clears up and feels like there's really dirt coming out of me. And then I feel so much better. But I don't know why that scientifically is happening. I just can recommend it to everyone.
Fasting is hard, isn't it?
No, the first fasts were hard. Now it's honestly the peace I find after more or less 48 hours. I get this fasting high, I call it. I just feel so good.
Dr. Nelson, the longest fast you've done?
22 days.
Just water and salt. I gotta beat that, Dr. Nelson.
I may have had some coffee.
Maybe.
That is unfortunately my biggest sin, coffee.
We breathe the air that's highly toxic. We drink the fluids, including waters that are not back to our ancient, pristine waters. But there are microbes and there's all sorts of other things in it anyway that have been there forever because everything is living. There's nothing that is sterile. And maybe our drive for sterility is part of our sterility.
And part of the problem, I think, people are afraid of reading or eating raw eggs or raw meat. If I tell people I can have, look, I'm going to Austria tomorrow because for the celebrations part. And the first thing always I do in Austria is because I can get really like on the Alps, grass-fed beef, going to buy something which is highest quality, organic grass-fed beef from the mountains of Austria and eat that raw. Firstly, the taste is insanely good. And I just love it. And then people say, oh, how can you eat raw meat? Because it tastes well, because it does good. I can have raw eggs in the morning as well. Do I do it every day? No, I don't. If I have time, I'll cook them in a certain, desired way. But this sterile thing, people are so afraid. And then they chuck in their salad on the side, right? Which I always say, like, you have no freaking clue what's on your salad. It's probably worse than eating raw meat and outdated eggs raw.
Well, the microbes are not only on, but they're in the plants.
Yeah.
And in the meat, they're not in the muscle meat. They might cover the outside because of its exposure wherever you are, but seared raw meat is the best. I eat raw meat, raw eggs, raw cream, raw butter, but no other animal cooks their food or cuts away the fat.
Oh, this is the worst thing I always see is like that people cut off the fat and say like, I love the fat the most, to be honest. That's why I go for this high fatty, ground beef. I'm ordering like in bulk here from a farm in Portugal, which I know is grass fed, and there's this rendering fat when you fry it, right? So good. But look, as you say, there's all the microbes and everything we get. I think I went down that rabbit hole when I came carnivore, starting to look into what's in my drinking water, started to change that, started to talk about sun exposure, being in sun exposure. I have a privilege being in Portugal, grounding, and I see so many people around me that hear something about grounding, right? So they go out there once a week with their bare feet into the sand and ground. Yeah, exactly. Whilst on the other side, still haven't changed anything in the diet. And I said, like, that's the wrong way to start. It's like you can ground yourself forever. There's energy in everything we consume. As you say, it's the air, it's the water, it's the food. You need to be certain how you consume energy in its totality and not just one element. And where to start? Good question. I still think what we eat is the best start you can get into.
Here you are.
Is that my profile I see? Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Dr. Nelson.
Thank you for sharing that.
Carnivore with a K.
Yeah, because it's the German way of writing it. So as you hear by my strange accent, I am German spoken by nature, but I'm proud of it.
Strange accents are okay.
Accents are okay in general. Honestly, I lived in so many different countries, and the most beauty is to being able to communicate with others. And it's not about the language. It's not about having a language, right? It's communication. It's being interactive with others.
And the beauty today is we can interact with everyone because of our technology, and we should embrace it and utilize it to share and communicate with our brothers and sisters everywhere, and invite them to the Lion's Way of living. Essentially, we are lions, all of us, right? That's the magic. I mean, Christ was a Lion King. He figured out that God is not out there, it's within all of us. I don't care size, shape, age, weight, gender, whatever it is, politics, religion, we are all lions.
This is the nice the nice thing in this little carnivore tribe I'm in on social media. You have interviewed a couple of them already. We are so different from a background perspective. We are so different from where we come from. We're so different age-wise, different in many ways, but there is one common thing, which is like we all try to spread a vibe and spread a voice and be vocal about that the solution to your problems is so close, but you are in such a foggy environment that you can't see the forest because of so many trees. And this is where people get lost. They feel bad, they want to change. They can't change because they go on highly artificial crash diets or plans and whatever they want to do and go to for the mental well-being, go to doctors and exactly that one.
This is it. I mean, it is again. Do you need a cookbook to cook a steak? Actually, you don't need to cook it.
No.
And again, wait a minute. Red meat causes cancer, and plants are healthy. That's scientific lie.
No, I read this article about Ansel Keys yesterday again.
Yeah.
How he flawed the 22 countries he has been investigating on, making it the 7-nation, report, whatever it was. So he was like obviously taking out everything. And all our society and health myths are built around that study, which is flawed from like A to Z. There is not one single truth in there. And cooking, whatever, blood sugar, cholesterol, name it, all coming from there. So eat your healthy plants, exactly. That has helped me not a single day.
Does your body make anything harmful for it? Or is everything it's doing, including making fat, visceral fat, an attempt to heal you and help you? But you keep on consuming the pathologic, domesticating diet of the food pyramid. The food pyramid is just blasphemy.
Yeah, it's the purest form of blasphemy, to be honest. And why would your body, like any body in nature, might it be an animal or whatever, do something harmful to you? Your body does things in reaction to what's happening to your body, right? And if you eat the wrong thing, you will have a reaction connected to that. So I think we're so afraid of everything, and we were made so afraid of. And I was in that same trap as well for a while. It's like, this is going to happen. And when I started carnivore, I always tell this story. It's I was convinced I'm doing the right thing, right? As I'm always when I do things. But everyone around me kept telling me, is like, this heart attack is just around the corner now, right? Because you only eat red meat and you eat butter and you eat eggs and whatsoever. So I did my first blood report. And then for sure, my cholesterol has always been high. It hasn't increased. It was still high. Whilst a lot of blood markers after 6 months have gotten better. However, I was imbalanced from specifically the beginning. I don't know why, from electrolyte balance, I think. So I got this heart, I don't know what the English expression is. So I had the feeling my heart is pumping twice where it should pump once. So I was sitting on my own on the sofa, and I felt like, okay, now the heart attack is coming. Just to figure out along the way that no, it wasn't even close to that. It was just like my body is still reacting and detoxing. So I need to look on my electrolytes, which I'm not doing any longer, to be honest, because with the salt amount I take in, I'm absolutely fine. And I just see a question I want to answer. Do you guys drink alcohol? No, I have strictly decided to not drink alcohol any longer. And some people have a drink here and then, and that's absolutely fine. And I think for me, I have decided not to do it because I always enjoyed the moment of drinking. I never enjoyed the moment after the drink. And that was the biggest learning for me 2 years ago. I'm super fine with water. I love it.
Let's see. There are a few more questions here. Let's see. How has carnivore excelled your spirituality?
This is a super tough question, to be honest. How is it my spirituality? I started to think different and stopped thinking on certain topics where I just let my mind go, also sometimes being at peace with myself. How has it impacted my spirituality? I don't even know. I started to try to find out for myself, what is my legacy on that planet, and figured out I've taken for so many decades my life way too important to what I think the legacy is, because at the end of the day, two generations down from now, no one is going to remember me, or only those ones are going to remember me, face, voice, whatever, that had really super close contact. So for me, it's not a spiritual thing at all. I'm still a believer there's a higher thing than us. Would I quantify that? Would I justify that? For me, it's very important to be as close to being true to myself and not trying to leave a legacy behind, just leaving something behind for the ones that are really close to me at the moment, such as my kids and grandsons, to see what I have doing, and being a role model. Spirituality is there. I can walk for hours now having like nothing on my mind, which I never had before. I don't know if that answers the question, to be honest.
Oh.
So how many coffees do you have today?
I've had half a cup.
That's it?
There were half the cup, this big a cup.
Oh, okay.
Okay, look at so interesting. Am I generally high energy?
Yes.
For the last 2.5 years, no coffee, no caffeine. And this is my nature. I don't care. It's interesting that the coffee actually has cured my naps. That's all.
I just did a month without coffee again. in January. And what I figured out is that there's not such a big difference without or with coffee. So I'm one of these coffee nerds. So I wouldn't drink anything else than a straight ristretto or espresso, which needs to come from high good coffee. But this is the taste. And do I need the kick? No, I don't need the kick. The only thing I recognized in January, the first 6 to 9 days, there was a big withdrawal at the beginning, because coming from 6 double espressos a day into going cold turkey on 0, oh boy, that was a bit of a headache. Was there any difference later on? Well, probably not so much. Then beginning of this month, I decided I just love my coffee too much. It's a ritual. And we got a winner.
I make cups, and I've been off of it for 2.5 years, went back a few months ago, and I do enjoy the social cultural nature of it, and I've given it up plenty of times, and I go days without it. It's interesting. I don't have the withdrawal anymore that I think I used to have. I mean, I was like years of lots of coffee, but I think it's one of those things that each of us has to decide and enjoy. But ultimately, number one is I think God is all that matters, and we are all the gods. We are emulating God, and because God is us. And there may be some power out there, I call it the photon, that basically makes us, but the first thing it makes is glucose. And that's my new book coming out. It's called The Boy Who Ate the Sun. But ultimately, God is it. And whether you're Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, or you're some ancient believer and you pray to the sun gods, it's all the same. It's our story.
And you can even trace that back. I mean, whatever book you follow, without trying to offend anyone here, because that's not my task, is they all go back to something that there is a higher level of energy in one way, and it has been interpreted in so many different ways. So that's my spirituality. It's not that I'm the biggest person of following any big religion, right? It's like we need to understand on where our space in the universe is, and we need to live up to that to be a small part in a greater society or in a greater living organism even. I mean, that you could interpret it that way, that we are just element of one other big organism, right? So don't take yourself too serious is always what I say. Is like, don't take the only thing you need to take serious is your own health, because that's the only thing you can control to a certain degree.
Well, but not even that, because you are going to die. And again, and plenty of sick people live happy, joyous lives. And so again, you're right. Don't take yourself so seriously. Laugh at yourself every day. Look in the mirror and say hello to God. Tell him or her how much you love that thing. But without Michelangelo, without the belief in God, we would not have all of this.
I mean, you said something super important now, kids. Is like, you need to be able to laugh at yourself. You need to be, and honestly, this is what I see in society most people can't do. There's so much prestige always, on what they want to be and whom they think they are even. Whilst sometimes you need to take yourself with a pinch of salt as well. I mean, we're not always 100% the smartest and brightest kernel on the cake, right? Sometimes you need to just be as you are and be proud of who you are, right? And I also learned that along the way. Is like, taking yourself too serious will only give you a headache at one point.
Oh, I gotta end the live stream.
You're going to. It's amazing to have you here. Thank you to everyone today. Appreciate you, and we just kind of keep on enjoying the day. Blessings to you, my friends. God bless.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.